My wife hacked my bank account and left $1.13 for groceries. She told our kids, Daddy can't even afford cereal. One day later, the school called and said, your daughter just told everyone you're a clown. I showed up with something she'd never forget. My name is Colin Maddox. I'm 42, and I live in Franklin, Tennessee, just outside Nashville. I work in industrial automation. Basically, I fix million-dollar machines when they decide they don't feel like cooperating anymore. Not glamorous, not exciting, but it pays well and people respect me in my line of work. At least, I thought they did. Until recently, I had a wife. Her name was Rianne. We were married for 13 years. We have 2 kids, Amira, who just turned 9, and Nolan, 6. Sweetest damn kids on the planet. Funny, kind, curious. I used to think everything I did, working those long hours, the late nights, the weekends, was for them. That's what I told myself. Turns out, not everyone saw it that way. Rianne worked part-time at a boutique in Nashville. You know the kind. Hardwood floors, minimalist shelves, overpriced, artisan, crap with little handwritten tags. She always had a way with people, charming, polished, a little sarcastic, the kind of woman who could sell you your own sweater and make you say thank you for the privilege. She also had a knack for making you feel small without raising her voice. Things started going sour between us maybe 2, 3 years ago. Looking back, there were signs. I just didn't want to believe them. The missed date nights. The passive-aggressive jokes. The looks she gave me when I talked about work, like I was boring her. You always look tired, she'd say, like it was a crime. Or, is this how you pictured your life at 40? Crawling under conveyor belts and sending invoices? I'd laugh it off. Pretend it didn't sting. Pays the mortgage, doesn't it? And she'd smile, that tight, clipped smile of hers. Barely. Still, I didn't think she'd go there. I didn't think she'd do what she did. Not until that one morning, when I realized everything I thought was solid had turned to sand. It was a Tuesday. I remember that because I always had a 6:30 a.m. conference call with a client in Germany, and I had stayed up too late the night before fixing a PowerPoint deck my assistant had butchered. I was running on about 3 hours of sleep. The coffee machine was sputtering like it had asthma, and I was trying to keep my eyes open while rummaging through the fridge. Nothing. No milk, no eggs, not even the sad leftovers from Sunday. I moved to the pantry. There was a box of off-brand cornflakes. I picked it up. It was practically air. I could see crumbs through the seams of the cardboard. Rianne, I called. She was sitting at the kitchen island in a bathrobe, legs crossed, scrolling on her phone. Her nails were wet, some pastel color, probably something trendy I wouldn't understand. Did we forget groceries? She didn't even look up. Nope. I frowned. Then where's the food? You ran out of money, she said, calmly, as if she were telling me the weather. I paused. What? Check your account, she said. So I did. Opened my banking app. And my stomach dropped. Checking. $1.13. Savings. $0. Emergency fund? Gone. Completely drained. What the hell? I whispered. She finally looked up. Maybe next time you'll keep better track of your spending. You did this. My voice cracked. She shrugged. It's not like you were planning anything with it. Figured I might as well secure the future. The kids were at the table. Amira had her tablet out. Nolan was poking his cereal like it offended him. She looked up and said, Mom said you're broke now. Nolan added, we don't even got real cereal. This one's stale. I stood there, blinking. I didn't say a word. I just walked upstairs, locked the bathroom door, and sat on the edge of the tub staring at my phone. My hands were shaking. That night, I tried to talk to her. I really tried. I asked her why. I asked her what the hell she was thinking. You were going to leave me, she said, coldly. Don't bother lying. I found the email from that lawyer. So she knew. I wasn't going to hurt you, Rianne. I was making sure the kids would be okay. I didn't even file anything yet. She laughed. Oh, you were just thinking about it. How thoughtful. Planning your escape. Meanwhile, I'm here juggling everything. Juggling what? You work 2 days a week. You think being a mom isn't a job? I think hacking into someone's bank account is a felony. She rolled her eyes. You'll survive. The next day, I got a call from the school. It was Amira's teacher, Mrs. Kepler. She sounded like she was trying not to laugh, which wasn't reassuring. Mr. Maddox, we had a bit of an interesting moment during show and tell. Oh boy, I said. Your daughter told the class you're a clown. I blinked. A what? A clown. That you do birthday parties now. She said you lost your job and needed money, so you became a clown. Red nose, funny shoes, the whole thing. There was a pause. I could practically hear her covering the receiver to muffle the giggle. She even drew a picture of you, she added. Sure enough, when I got home, the drawing was taped to the fridge. Bright colors, big smile, honking nose. And at the top, in a child's handwriting, my daddy the clown. Rianne had written underneath it in Sharpie, new career goals? I was done. She wanted to humiliate me. Not just take the money. Not just sabotage the kids. She wanted to make sure I looked like a failure. That I felt like one. Every second. But what she didn't know, what she never thought to check, was that I had one account she hadn't touched. My freelance business account. Registered under a separate LLC. Different bank. Never linked to our shared finances. There was a little over 12 grand sitting in there. It wasn't much. But it was enough. So that Friday, I picked the kids up early from school. Told the office it was a family matter. I took them out for ice cream, then we drove to my attorney's office. The paperwork had already been filed. I texted her. The kids are safe. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. She called me 12 times in an hour. Left voicemails. Screaming. Crying. Threatening. Then pleading. I didn't answer. Instead, I dropped the kids off at my sister Meryl's house. She lived in Murfreesboro, about 30 minutes out. She'd always liked Rianne, but even she had started raising her eyebrows the last year or so. You okay? She asked me, holding Nolan's hand. No, I said. But I'm going to be. Then I went shopping. First stop, Party City. Second, custom print shop. Final stop, her boutique. I walked in wearing a full clown suit. Rainbow wig. Giant red nose. Blue and yellow jumpsuit with ruffles. Face paint and all. Heads turned. People stared. Rianne stood at the counter, mid-laugh with a customer, until she saw me. She froze. I walked up, holding a sign that said, World's Greatest Ex-Husband. Ask me how I saved $12,000. Hey Rianne, I said, grinning under the face paint. Heard you told people I was a clown. Figured I should live up to the hype. Her jaw dropped. Get out. Not until I hand out these coupons. I waved a stack in the air. Bright red paper with bold white letters. 20% off any purchase. Offer void if you emotionally bankrupt your partner. People were whispering. One woman pulled out her phone. Rianne lunged across the counter, trying to grab the signs. You're insane. And you're a fraud, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Let me know if you'd like a balloon animal. And then I walked out. I didn't go straight home after the clown stunt. I drove around for a while, just me, the clown suit, and a car that smelled like cheap face paint and rubber. I stopped at a gas station on the edge of town and changed in the restroom. Tossed the clown outfit in the back of the trunk and put on jeans and a hoodie. My hands were still stained with white and red grease paint, and no matter how much I scrubbed, it didn't all come off. I stood there in front of the mirror and stared at myself for a long time. And then I laughed. I laughed so hard a guy walking and gave me a wide-eyed look and turned right back around. I wasn't proud of what I did. But God, it felt good. I got back in the car and called Meryl. How are they? I asked. Amira's been quiet. Nolan's passed out in front of cars 3, she said. Colin, what happened? I sighed. I did something kind of crazy. Do I need to worry? Probably. But I think it might have been the first honest thing I've done in years. The next morning, my phone blew up again. Voicemails, texts. Rianne went from furious to panicked to manipulative in a span of hours. You humiliated me in public. You're traumatizing the kids. This is who you really are? A man who dresses like a clown to get attention. I didn't answer any of it. I forwarded the voicemails to my lawyer. I think she was trying to bait me into responding to get something emotional on record she could use in court. But I wasn't falling for it. Not anymore. By Monday, the school had heard about the boutique incident. Apparently, one of the parents filmed the whole thing. It was on Facebook. Caption: Dad takes petty to the next level. Some people thought it was hilarious. Others, not so much. The principal called me in for a meeting. We're not here to judge your personal life, Mr. Maddox, she said, folding her hands on her desk. But Amira's been getting some attention. I can imagine. She told a classmate yesterday that her parents were at war and then tried to draw a battle map. Labeled one side Team Dad and the other Team Liar. I rubbed my face. Jesus. She's confused. Hurt. Kids don't always have the words to explain this stuff. I know. You should consider talking to the school counselor. For both of them. I nodded. Yeah, I will. That night, when I picked them up from Meryl's, Amira wouldn't talk to me. She just sat in the back seat, arms crossed, eyes staring out the window. Nolan, on the other hand, was full of questions. Daddy, why did you dress up like a clown? Mommy said you were being mean. I glanced at him in the mirror. It's complicated, buddy. Did you have a red nose? Yeah. Did you make balloon animals? No. Then what's the point? I laughed under my breath. Good question. When we got back to my place, small rental, nothing fancy, I made grilled cheese for dinner. Amira barely touched hers. After Nolan went to bed, I sat next to her on the couch. You mad at me? She shrugged. I know this is weird. And probably scary. And maybe a little funny. She didn't smile. Your mom and we're not getting along. And that's not your fault. She looked at me then. Eyes full of something sharp. She said you're leaving because you don't love us anymore. The words hit me like a gut punch. No. Listen to me, Amira. That's not true. That will never be true. I love you and Nolan more than anything in this world. I left because your mom and I were hurting each other. I didn't want you two caught in the middle. She said you took us away. I just wanted to keep you safe while the grown-ups figured things out. She didn't respond, but she let me hug her. That was something. The custody battle got worse before it got better. Rian filed a motion claiming I was mentally unstable. She submitted clips of the clown video and called it erratic behavior. My lawyer wasn't rattled. Family court sees way worse than this, she said. You didn't threaten her. You didn't involve the kids. It's a petty stunt, not ABSC. But I still had to sit there in a courtroom, in front of strangers, while Rian painted me as an unfit father. Claimed I was emotionally volatile, obsessive, and manipulative. She brought up everything she could. My late nights at work. That one time I forgot Amira's recital. A heated argument we had 2 years ago on our anniversary that she apparently recorded. I didn't recognize the version of me she described. And I hated that for a minute. Even I started to question if maybe I was that guy. But then I took the stand. And I told the truth. Not the perfect version. Just the honest one. I made mistakes, I said. I worked too much. I thought providing was the same as being there. I see now that it's not. But I never stopped loving my children. I never stopped trying to be better for them. And then my lawyer submitted bank records showing how Rian had drained our joint savings. Texts she sent to her friends laughing about making me look like a failure. Copies of the clown photo Amira drew, with Rian's own handwriting mocking me. The judge didn't like that. By the time it was over, I had joint custody, my financial accounts were locked under my name, and the judge made it very clear that future manipulation involving the kids would not be tolerated. Rian didn't look at me once during that final hearing. I wish I could say everything magically got better. It didn't. Divorce is ugly, even when you win. There were awkward drop-offs. Passive-aggressive texts. Times when Nolan cried because he didn't understand why he had 2 beds now, 2 toothbrushes, 2 homes. Amira stayed angry for a long time. Not screaming angry. Just distant. Quiet. But little by little, things shifted. I started therapy, something I'd avoided for years. Not just for the divorce. For me. For all the buried crap I never dealt with. I learned how to talk about feelings without shutting down. I learned how to sit with guilt and how to tell my kids I was sorry without making it about me. I also learned how to be alone. Truly alone. No noise, no distractions, no one else's expectations shaping who I thought I had to be. And for the first time in years, I liked who I was getting to know. A few weeks after the final custody ruling, I was back on the job site, standing in a factory in Memphis, sweat beading under my hard hat, while a floor manager barked at me over a jammed hydraulic press. It was hot, loud, and smelled like burnt rubber and fried wiring, but it felt good. It felt normal. During lunch, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through pictures from the weekend with the kids. Nolan had built a cardboard fort in the living room and Amira had reluctantly joined in. They ended up watching a movie inside it, sharing popcorn in silence. That's how she talked to me now, through shared moments, not words. I sent a picture to Meryl. She replied, she's softening. Keep being steady. Being steady became my new goal. Not perfect. Not flashy. Just present. But Rian didn't make that easy. It started with the little things. She'd pack the kids' bags with old clothes that didn't fit. Oops. She'd send them home without their homework folders. Claim it must have gotten lost. The kids would show up late for my weekends with them, always after some vague delay. Once, she dropped them off with bags of fast food 10 minutes before dinner, knowing I'd cooked. I tried not to react. I didn't want the kids stuck between 2 bitter parents. So I kept records, told my lawyer everything, and focused on my time with them. One night, Amira came to me with a drawing. It was of our little rental, our modest, plain beige house with the ugly brown carpet and mismatched plates. But in the picture, there were lights on in every window, and the 3 of us were smiling outside, holding hands. I swallowed hard. This us? She nodded. I made it for school. We had to draw our safe place. I looked at her. Sweetheart, this means everything to me. She shrugged like it was nothing, but I could see the pride in her eyes. Later, after the kids were asleep, I sat with that picture in my lap and cried. Not the angry, frustrated tears I'd shed after the bank account. Not the defeated ones from the courtroom. These were different. Softer. The kind of tears that come when you realize you're slowly stitching together something broken, something worth keeping. A month later, I was grocery shopping with Nolan. He insisted on pushing the cart, and we were halfway through the cereal aisle when I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around and there she was. Rianne. No makeup. No jewelry. Just sweatpants, sunglasses on top of her head, and a look like she hadn't slept in a week. Colin, she said flatly. Nolan, go pick out your cereal. Bud, I said. He trotted off. You ignoring my calls now? She asked. I stared at her. You mean the ones where you accused me of turning the kids against you? I said we should be on the same page. You mean your page? She scoffed. You're always the victim, huh? I lowered my voice. Do you even hear yourself? She shifted uncomfortably. It's not like you've been a saint, parading around in a clown suit. I never told our daughter her father was a joke. You did that. That shut her up. We stood there in silence, the hum of the refrigeration units the only sound. Then she sighed. They like being with you. They're my kids too. No, I mean, they like you. They come back talking about science projects and movie nights. Amira smiles more. Nolan talks nonstop. Is that a problem? I asked. She shook her head. I guess I didn't think you'd pull it off. Pull what off? This. Being a full-time dad. Being the guy who keeps it together. I wanted to be smug. I wanted to say, because you never believed in me. But instead, I said, I'm doing my best. That's all. She looked down at her hands. I miss them. You still have your time. It's not the same. I took a slow breath. Maybe next time, don't poison their view of their father. You might not like me, Rianne. But they need both of us. She nodded, barely. We didn't say goodbye. She just turned and walked off. Nolan came back clutching a box of marshmallow cereal twice the size of his head. Can we get this? Only if you promise not to bounce off the walls later. No promises. I laughed. Deal. The following weekend, we went to the Nashville Zoo. The kids had been talking about it for weeks. It was the first big outing I'd planned solo. I packed snacks, bought the tickets in advance, even downloaded the map on my phone. We were halfway through the Africa exhibit when Amira tugged on my sleeve. Can I ask you something? Sure. Were you and Mom always fighting? I thought about how to answer. No, not always. But we grew apart. Stopped listening. Started blaming. Was it because of me and Nolan? I crouched down beside her. Never. Not for a second. You and your brother are the best thing that ever happened to me. She nodded slowly. Mom gets mad a lot. At me. At Nolan. At everything. I wanted to say something angry. Something sharp. But I held back. She's going through stuff, I said gently. Sometimes grown-ups don't know how to deal with their pain, so they pass it around. She looked up at me. You don't yell like her. I used to. More than I should have. I'm working on it. Are you sad? Sometimes. But also, kind of hopeful. She gave a tiny smile. Me too. Later that night, after they were asleep, I sat at my desk with a blank notebook. I didn't know what I was doing at first. Just scribbled thoughts. Words that came and went. They're watching me now. Listening. Learning what love looks like. The worst pain wasn't being betrayed. It was realizing how long I let it happen. My daughter sees me. And I'm trying to deserve it. I don't know if I was journaling or writing a letter to my future self. But it helped. Being a father post-divorce is like building a house with your bare hands and no blueprint. Every day is a guess. Every smile feels like winning the lottery. Every tantrum feels like a test you're barely passing. But for the first time in years, I was showing up. Not just in body, but in spirit. And that was something worth fighting for. About 5 months after the divorce was finalized, I was sitting on the front porch of my rental, feet up on the railing, a cold beer in hand. The kids were inside playing a board game, one of those collaborative ones where they work together to defeat the villain. Funny how themes find their way into real life. It was a Friday. I had just wrapped a big project for a plant out in Chattanooga, and they'd signed a full-year maintenance retainer. It meant more work, consistent hours, and a little breathing room financially. The kind of contract you dream about when you're a one-man operation. I'd spent the last few months doing everything Rianne thought I couldn't. Paying bills on time. Cooking full meals. Helping with homework. Making dentist appointments. I even built a garden box out back with the kids, and Amira had gotten weirdly into cucumbers. Every time I dropped them back off at Rianne's, they'd ask, when's the next sleepover at Dad's? And every time, I saw her jaw tighten just a little more. She didn't have control anymore. Not over me. Not over the narrative. And that pissed her off. So, one morning, she tried to stir things up again. I got a call from the boutique where she used to work. "Mr. Maddox?" the woman said, her tone clipped. "Do you have a moment to talk?" I blinked. Sure. What's going on?" "Rianne listed you as an emergency contact. She didn't show up for her shift today and hasn't answered her phone. This isn't the first time." I sat back. "Why are you calling me about it?" "She said you're her ex-husband and co-parent." "We just assumed, you assumed wrong," I said calmly. "We're divorced. Have been for a while. I don't manage her life, and frankly, I'd prefer not to be listed in any capacity. She has a boyfriend now. Maybe call him." The woman paused. "Oh, well, we'll remove you from our files." I hung up and stared at my phone. I knew Rianne wasn't doing well. She'd lost the boutique job a couple weeks later. From what I'd heard through Meryl, because God bless sisters, they always find out, she'd been bouncing between temp gigs and online selling. Etsy, eBay, even Facebook Marketplace. She posted a lot of inspirational quotes with passive-aggressive captions. Still, I didn't feel sorry for her. She'd made her bed. But what came next? That was the twist I didn't expect. It started with a knock on my door. A tall, clean-cut guy in a navy jacket stood there, holding a small padded envelope. "Mr. Colin Maddox?" "That's me. I'm with Pacific Ridge Private Investigations. You've been listed as a point of interest in a fraud case involving online asset misappropriation. Don't worry, you're not under investigation. But your ex-wife is." I blinked. "Come again?" He handed me the envelope. Inside was a thick printout, bank statements, screenshots, transaction logs. "She used your name, address, and social security number to apply for a small business loan last year, right before your divorce. Then funneled the money into 2 personal accounts." My blood went cold. "I didn't even know. You wouldn't have. She used your joint tax filings from the previous year. We believe she forged your signature." I sat down on the steps, holding the paperwork. "She's under review by the state. If the DA moves forward, you might be contacted as a witness." I looked up at him. "So, what happens now?" He shrugged. "Could be jail time. Could be probation. Depends on the judge." I didn't say anything. Just sat there as he walked away. Rianne, again, reaching into my life from the shadows like a stubborn weed. But this time I had receipts. A few weeks later, I was called to give a deposition. I showed up in a pressed shirt, clean-shaven, and fully prepared. I had bank records. I had emails. I had my original tax filings. The investigator nodded through it all. "Very clean," he said. "You've done a lot of work getting your life back in order." I didn't smile, just nodded. I had to. About a month after that, Rianne reached out to me directly. No lawyers, no middlemen. She sent a message. "I know you found out. Can we talk?" Part of me wanted to block her. Another part, maybe the part that had loved her once, wanted answers. So I agreed to meet. Neutral ground. A diner just off I-65. She looked thinner, more worn down. Her usual confidence had a crack in it now. The kind people try to patch with lip gloss and caffeine. "I messed up," she said, stirring her coffee. "You think?" I didn't think it would catch up to me. I leaned back. "That's kind of your thing, isn't it?" She swallowed. I was scared. "You were pulling away. I didn't know how to stay ahead. You stole from me. You lied to our kids. You drained accounts. Now you've committed fraud." "I know," she whispered. "And I'm sorry." "You're sorry because you got caught." She didn't argue. Then she looked up. "Are you going to testify?" I tilted my head. "That's not up to me. The DA decides that." "Colin, please. I can't go to jail. I'll lose everything." I stared at her. I already did. Silence fell between us. The waitress came, refilled the coffee, walked away. I took a breath. "Here's the deal. I won't press additional charges. I won't escalate. But I will let the legal process take its course." She closed her eyes. "Fair. And I want one more thing." She opened them. "What?" "A written apology. To Amira and Nolan. No BS. No manipulations. Just the truth. You tell them what you did and why it was wrong." She looked horrified. "Colin, or I make sure every single detail of your scam is made public in court." Her jaw tightened. But after a moment, she nodded. "Okay." 2 weeks later, the letter arrived. I read it first. Honest, raw, apologetic. Then I read it to Amira and Nolan. I explained what their mother had done gently, in a way that didn't break them, but made them understand. That their mom was human. That sometimes people we love make terrible choices. Amira cried. Nolan didn't understand all of it, but hugged me tighter that night than he ever had before. That was the moment I realized my revenge was complete. Not because I destroyed her, but because she couldn't destroy me. She had tried to write a story where I was the villain, the joke, the clown. But I rewrote it. I became the man who stood tall, protected his kids, kept his dignity, and held the line when everything around him crumbled. And the best part? I did it without ever raising my voice, swinging a fist, or becoming the monster she needed me to be. I stayed me. I stayed Dad. And that was something she'd never be able to take away.